Hi guys, what is up? My name is Josh, or you may know me as DodaTech. Today we're going to be dusting and upgrading my personal rig. So it's not too big of an upgrade, I'm just adding another hard drive. But yeah, so when we go out to dust it, we're actually going to go outside. So about halfway through this video, or when we're about to dust it, I'm actually just going to be doing a voiceover. It's not going to be like this. But yeah, I'm just basically going to show you how to do all this stuff. So you want to start by taking the side panels off. Now, if you've got a custom built system that you've done yourself, there won't be any warranty you can void just by doing this. But if it's a Dell or an HP, you might want to wait until it's out of warranty, especially if it has those warranty stickers on the back. But yeah, so what I'm doing is pulling off or undoing the screws that have the side panels, where the side panels are, and the screw at the back here, one stays in and just pushes down on this case. So I'm just gonna do that. And I've got a fan on the inside here, so I'm gonna disconnect that from the motherboard. There we are. And oh, that's pretty bad. So if we look at this side panel, that is a lot of dust on the fan blades. Yeah, so yeah, that's worse than I thought. We're just going to sit these down on the floor on some towels for the moment because we're not exactly using them at the moment. And this one doesn't have much dust on it, so I'm not going to show you it. We're just going to set them down. And yeah, you're probably wondering what my rig is. So it's a Core i7 4770K, clocked at I think 4.6 or 4.7 gigahertz, cooled with a Corsair H110. It's a GTX 780 gigabyte WindForce card. It's got 8 gigs of RAM, Corsair HX 750 with a lot of dust on it. It's got a Wi-Fi card in down here. You probably can't see that. It's got a Samsung 840 Pro 120 gig SSD and a 500 gig Seagate Barracuda. And if I come over here, we're going to be putting a Western Digital 1 terabyte blue drive in. You'll be seeing that I've used a lot of these lately. But yeah, we're going to be putting one of them in. So yeah, there's a lot of dust on this, and I'm going to see if I can show you how bad this is here. So yeah, if we look in here, we'll start at the power supply. That is normal color, that's the dust. These fan blades, you couldn't really see it from the inside, but they had a lot of dust. If we look up here, you'll see on top of those switches there's a lot of dust. It's generally just a lot of dust everywhere. So what we're going to do is we're going to pull the front panels off. But first we're going to take out the dust filters. So my case has dust filters like these. We're going to take these out and we'll clean them. There's one at the back here too, which is not particularly dusty. But that doesn't really matter. Dust gets in anyway. And there's little tabs on the inside of this case that we're going to pull off, or just push out to get this front panel off. And you want to hold it so it doesn't fall. And this can be, there we are, quite difficult, but yeah. You'll see there's also another filter on the inside of this panel here. This may be different for your case, but this is an NZXT Phantom 820, and it's got these fan filters pretty much everywhere. I'm getting a lot of dust flow off my face. Whoa, that was horrible. Yeah, so we're going to want to clean both of these out, the front panel and this fan. Oh, that's disgusting. Also, the top panel comes off somehow. I think it just pulls off. and I'm not going to be able to do it like this. But you'll see there's also another fan filter on this fan here that apparently that one there that came out of the front wasn't doing as good a job as this one that's on the fan. So we're going to take our screwdriver, pull out our Phillips number 2 bit. Here's that one there. Put the rest of these back in. And we're going to just unscrew this front fan filter. And they just use standard PC case fan screws. I'm not unscrewing the fan, I'm just unscrewing the filter. This is probably going to fall here, yep, and just release dust everywhere. Now, that is disgusting. Yeah, that's horrible. Generally, you want to clean your computer at least once every 6 months. It's been about 6 since I've cleaned this. If you have an overclocked CPU or just generally very high-end parts, probably once every 2 or 3 months. I usually do it every 3 months. I've been a bit neglecting here, but yeah. So yeah, all we got to do is get this top panel off now, which might prove difficult. There we are. That top panel's off. There's no fan grills on this top panel here, there's just the buttons and all the tabs. Just want to make sure these tabs are fine and you haven't broken any off. And there's the top panel. And I've got a H110 in the top here, configured in pull, and that is completely disgusting. So if we look at the top of the radiator here, that is just covered in cake dust. That is disgusting. If we look up in these fans here, there's a lot of dust on those fans. If we look up in this 780 here, I can't see too much in that camera there, but there's a lot of dust on top of that. And yeah, we've got to clean all that. So yeah, another thing I'm going to do is put a couple of 120mm fan filters on top here, and hopefully that'll help us a bit. So yeah, oh, one last thing. There's a fan filter on the front of this fan here, and we're going to have to take that off. Now I don't know why they put it on the outside. NZXT is who I'm talking about here. I don't know why they put it on the outside between the case and the fan, but it's very annoying to clean when it's on the outside. So we're just going to grab, we've got these set on towels here, and we're just going to take the screws out here. These don't actually look like normal fan screws, now that I look at them. No, these are a little longer. That's probably why NZXT put it on the outside. So we're just taking the screws out here. It doesn't matter if you take them out, not diagonally. You always want to put PC screws in diagonally. Those 4 screws are out, and that last one had dust on it, which is not a good sign. And that is completely disgusting. I haven't cleaned this one since I got the computer. And I'm going to try and show you here. That is bad. For reference, I'm going to go grab a clean fan filter. Okay, this is a clean fan filter. You can see right through that. This is the one that was on the one that I haven't cleaned since I got the computer. So that has got some horrible dust in it. Also, this fan that came off the side panel, there's a bunch of dust on the back of the blades here. The camera will focus. So yeah, we've got to take all this outside and dust it. So this is probably where the time lapse is going to start. And yeah.
So guys, as you can see, we're outside and we're starting to dust out just the basic inside of the computer to get as much of the dust out as we can. And now we're doing the radiator, and this was completely disgusting, all this dust going into my face. And yeah, this was an immense amount of dust. It was probably the most dust I've seen in a computer in a long time. I've also noticed since starting to edit this video, my computer's a lot quieter now that I've got rid of all this dust, and that's probably because the fans on my radiator don't have to work as hard to get the same amount of air through. So yeah, if you do have a radiator like this, it is probably a good idea to dust your PC out regularly. Like I say, I recommend about every 3 months, 2 months if you really want better temperatures, and I suppose every month if you really want good temperatures. But now we're doing those fans and just the general inside of the case here. And yeah, you'll see there's a lot of dust flying out. This was around 6 months since I last dusted out my PC. And yeah, that is a crazy amount of dust. We're doing the front fan now. And now the 5 1/4 inch drive bays and the buttons that are on the front. Yeah, this is quite a lot of dust, as I've said. Now we're doing the hard drives and the cables at the back. These don't pick up too much dust since there's no fans back here, but the hard drives, they do pick up a tiny bit. And now we're doing all the fans and filters that we pulled out. So you'll see I've got the camera just against a wall and there's a lot of dust. Now you generally, the way dust comes in, if you're pulling it through a filter, you'll want to shoot the air from the opposite side. So if the dust, you see where the NZXT logo is there, that's the side the dust came in on. The fan would have been on the opposite side. You'll want to blow the dust out from where the fan was on the other side. It makes it a little easier, but generally you want to do it on both sides just to get most of the dust out. And that's about it here. So yeah. Just make sure, guys, that you hold the fans when you're blowing air through them, as you don't want to put the bearings off balance.
Alright guys, so that is done. Yeah, there was more dust than I expected coming out of that. And yeah, so one last thing you might want to do is grab a microfiber cloth and just wipe down bits like your power supply and stuff like that, stuff that really won't get hurt. So the top of your case is fine, the back, all the panels can be wiped down with this. Just be careful if you've got plexiglass or anything like that on yours, it can scratch. I know I've got a scratch in mine that I don't know how it got there, but it's just a tiny little scratch. And yeah, so even these panels you can wipe down. Some of the filters, they didn't clean as good as I would have liked, but you can't really do much about that. So we're just gonna put the fans back, I suppose. So we've got to do this one. And this is the side panel fan I'm putting on. So I'll put the filter down first. And now the fan is going in. Don't want to do them all the way since we'll need some wiggle room. And we're going in opposite corners again, so we have that wiggle room. And then when you do the last one, you can tighten the last one down all the way. So fans, you don't have to tighten down. I just tighten my fans down because, well, they don't really need to be loose. I'm scratching my panel here. It's okay. And we'll just wipe off some bits of dust that we might have missed. And yeah, make sure you didn't trap your fan lead. And we'll put this back on the floor, so let me just put the towel down. Also, you want to wipe off the front, but you can save that till last if you want to, once you've put the panel back on. But yeah, so we're just going to throw that on the floor there. And now we're just going to put the filters back in. So doing this while holding it is not the most ideal way, but I'm trying to show the camera here. So they just clip on. Your case might not disassemble into as many parts as mine did. So yeah, your mileage may vary. So we're going to put these back in the front. I'm toying with whether to put this filter back in. The one that goes up the front, because I want to put some up the top. But I don't know whether I'll do the top one yet. So I'm going to put this filter in, and I don't know if you can see this, so I'm going to move around this side, and I'll move the case in a bit more. Don't tighten these down too tight, you can split the plastic. Especially if you're using fan screws. Fan screws have a very thick thread and they're very hard to drive, so you don't know whether you're over tightening them or not. So there, that filters in. And now we've got to put the front panel back on. So it just lines up and snaps into place. But we've got to put the top panel in first, so never mind. We're going to take this back out. There we go. And I don't think I'll put that top filter in. Yeah, so now we're going to install that hard drive. I'll just check I'm still recording audio. Yep. So like I said, it's the Western Digital 1TB blue. You'll also need a SATA cable for it. So a SATA cable is an L-shaped connector that looks like this. And yeah, so we're going to grab those two parts. This case has a toolless design, and I'm just going to wipe down that there. So if we spin it around the front here, or around the back I should say, Yeah, my cable management isn't the best, but it works. So we're going to find which drive tray we're going to put this in. I think we're going to put it in this one, so we'll undo these and this solder cable here. We'll pull this drive tray out, unpackage our new hard drive, pull that out of its bag. Now you'll see this flexible hard drive tray has these little pins which will go inside the hard drive. So you just kind of want to line your hard drive up into one side. And then sort of bend the other side around. Don't bend it too much, you don't want to break the caddy. And there, that hard drive's in, so we're just going to line it back up. Slot it in. Now we're going to plug the SATA cable in first, and we've got a right angled connector, so that's going to go into there. And then this SATA power cable is going to go in. You're probably not getting a very good look at this, guys. I'm sorry. It's really the best I can do. Now this SATA cable is going to prove difficult. There we are, it's in. Slide the drive in, and there we are. We're also going to put the cable in that we took out. Being careful not to slide the hard drive in too far. Put in the SATA data cable in that we took out. There we are, those hard drives are wired. This is also a SATA power for my fan controller, so we're just going to wire that up there. We're going to bring this SATA lead in with the others, which is in this cable routing hole here. Spin the case around. You'll see there's the cable there. We're just going to plug it in right next to the other one. There we are, we hear it click. And that hard drive's installed, so now all we got to do is put the panels back on. So we'll start with this top panel, which goes on like so. I don't know if you can see that. Just clicks in. Now there is cables under here, so you want to make sure you don't trap them. Now we've got to put the front panel one on. Line it up. Snap it in. This fan filter we took out goes back in under here. Might give that a wipe out first. Slide that in, click it in. We'll just finish wiping out the rest of this case. And now we'll put the panels back on. So this panel is always a little difficult since I've got to plug a fan in first, so we're just going to clear some room here. We'll actually lay it down on the towel. So we just put the towel there, grab the panel, lay it down on the towel, and not on the screwdriver. Plug the fan into the motherboard. So this is going to have to get a little closer. There we are, that's in. Now we just lift the panel up, put it on. These panels are always a little difficult since you've got to push down that screw and they're very heavy. So now that panel's on, we're just going to tie up or tighten up the screw that doesn't come out. We're going to sit the other panel here. And this SATA cable needs to be wire tied somehow, so we're just going to loop it in with the other cables. And that should provide enough flatness to hold it in. If not, the panel will hold it in. So we'll just put the panel on. Push down the screw at the back. Slide the panel on and forward. Tie up that screw. And now all we got to do, ooh, that's a lot heavier now, those panels are on, is put the last 4 screws in that we took out right at the start. So, one up here. One up here, or one down here. Make sure they're not cross-threading at all. So sometimes it's good to start it with your hands. This screw doesn't like going in, so we'll try it in a different hole. So we'll come up here and put this one in. This one, we'll try in this hole. There we are, that one went in a lot easier. And finally, this last screw. There we are. So those case panels are now on. I didn't take the Wi-Fi antenna off. So now all we got to do is plug it back in and switch it on and format a new hard drive. So,
Alright guys, just a little thing before I go. To format our drive, we just need to go to Start, type in Disk, go to Create and Format Hard Disk Partitions, and you see it already comes up with our disk. Make sure, well, this is the default one, and make sure it's selected. Click OK. And if we go in here, extend this a bit, we'll see disk 2 here, so we want to right click, new simple volume, click next. This should be the largest size, so maximum disk space. Yep, so just make sure that it's all like this, and the minimum space is 8 megabytes. I don't know why you would want an 8 megabyte disk, but just click next. Assign drive letter, we'll just go to the next available one, which is E. And click next. Format this volume with the following settings. NTFS, that's really the only one you want. Keep the default allocation unit size. Have this as whatever you want the drive to be labeled. So I'm going to go WD 1 terabyte blue. Perform quick format, have that checked. Enable file and folder compression, you can have that checked if you want. I'm not going to. Click next. This is going to show you everything that's being done, and click finish. So you see it says formatting, and now this is flashing. So if we go this, close that. If we go back into here, computer, and there we are, the Western Digital 1 terabyte blue. Now one thing you might want to do before this finishes, before we finish, is go to and get a program called Crystal Disk Info Portable. I'll leave a link in the video description for this. So Crystal Disk Info, just open that, allow it to go through, and you'll see it shows you all your drives, and you just want to make sure that the one we just installed is good. So power on count, this is 1 count, so it's the first time we've powered it on. It's been on for no hours. And yeah, so this is all the information about the drive. You'll see my SSD is the hottest drive here, so it's 35, then 32, then 31. Temperature doesn't really matter, but if this is anything but good, then you want to get a new drive. So yeah, thank you for watching. Don't forget to comment, rate, and subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Bye for now.